Yeah, we're sorry.
It will be closing
Adam,
shortly.
why don't you introduce yourself for the folks at home?
Sure thing. My name's Adam. I have been playing One Piece since like the 4th set dropped. So I'm like a seasoned player at this point, but I can't say I was like from the original. Got into the first year though. I played Betty today and I ended up going 7-2, getting 13th, which was great. Both my losses were incredibly close. Totally valid. Sometimes you just lose games, but honestly, it could have taken the whole thing. It could have.
Well, with such a unexplored leader, going into this as someone who's tried to figure out this meta, this was not even on my radar. I just assumed that it would lose to some of the more popular matchups like Dofi or Lucci. Do you have any insight as to how this deck performs? And maybe you could even show some of the cards.
Yeah, so I'll go through the whole list here. That's totally fine. The matchups that you brought up, Dofi and Lucci, I'm too fast. Essentially, I'm too fast. I have enough board control with Dofi playing his stuff rested and cheating stuff out. I'll go through the list now and then I'll explain a little bit of how the interactions can work. So we have 4 Belo Betty, the Searcher. It's going to be in every Belo Betty deck. You're running the Rev Army package because you have to because of the leader ability. It searches. I run 40 Rev Army cards. Sorry, 42 Rev Army 40 Rev Army cards. We'll get there. And so she hits. I've played 200 games with Betty. I've missed one time. It's just like statistically, you're not going to miss. You're running 4 Raise Max. He's essential because he's a 1-drop, same as Betty, and playing nothing on turn 1 is like a death sentence. If you're not getting pressure, you're not going to be able to control your opponent's hand. You're not going to be able to do anything. My Enel matchup that was on stream, I double Bettied, I triggered off of life, I Ivankov'd, and I played out Karasu, so on my 4 Don turn, I had 5 characters. There's not much anything can do against them.
And Raise Max is Rev Army, right?
Raise Max is Rev Army / Phil. So he's part of the Rev Army package. You're running 4 koalas. 4 of your 8 2Ks are koala. She minuses 3,000 power, which is great. I didn't see any Bonnies today, but like great into Kid, especially now in this meta because like people aren't running Zoro as much. They're trying to like target that. She just ruins Kid. I run 3 Bartholomew Kuma. He can KO early aggression. He's a 2-drop, so if you go second and you don't see any of these, you can still play Kuma. And usually people play 1-drop searchers that are 2,000 power or less, so you KO their aggression, their board while you establish a board state. And it's actually important to KO their searchers because all of my stuff is so little that they do get free swings into it. So like their searchers will KO my searchers and it's rough for me. You've got 3 Inazuma, just static rush. The best part about this card, you don't want to play it until the end of the game, but if you have 2 in hand, you can play out both, and if you leader ability, they trigger each other. They're both rushers for 6 Don at 7,000 power, and I have won games that way. It's absolutely ridiculous. For 6 Don, and then you have 4 left over for leader. So you can go like 7-7-9, or you can go 8-8-8, yeah. So definitely worth it. I run it at 3 of right now, because I added a tech card that took out the slot of this, which we'll go over. I have 3 Morley, an absolute killer to BY Luffy. It doesn't matter. If I trigger it off life, I basically win the game. You can Sabu up all you want. I'm going to make him an 18k swinger. 4 Karasu, the absolute champion of the deck. People target it. It's the hardest kill on sight card in the deck. In today's event, I got 2 different leaders down to 3,000 power, and there's just nothing you can do about that. I'm swinging 8s, 7s into 3s. It's like my 4 cost things are swinging like 10,000 power essentially. You have 4 Ivankov. She will cheat out. They will cheat out. Everything on this list that I've pointed to up until this point, and Lindbergh. So everything that I have shown you so far, I have cheated out with Ivankov. In my last game against Lucci, I cheated out Kuma to KO a Searcher because they had lethal if I didn't do that. So you have to pay attention to how many cards your opponent has in hand, how much I have in life. It's a pretty straightforward deck. I played really fast because you know exactly what you're doing, and your opponent really contemplates what they're doing. I like Frankie as the other 2K. I think that Satori is too expensive. I don't like trashing a card for a 2K, and it lowers your hand size. Whereas Frankie, if I pull it off life, I can absolutely trigger it, and most likely I'm drawing a rev card. Even if I don't have one life or less, I still trigger it sometimes. Then we've got 4 Cracker. He triggers off life. He ruins a Nell. He ruins 5 life leaders. You use leader ability. You attach 1 Don. He's a 10k swing. Yeah, absolutely unstoppable. You have 3 5-cost Imperial Ivankov. She can cheat out everything but these 2 from down here, including Ivankov. So the dream is you play Imperial Ivankov, you play out Ivankov, and then you cheat out Karasu, all 4 5 Don.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's an unreal combo. You have 2 5-drop Luffy's. Your opponent may block her up. You're going to be so lethal that they might turtle 1 turn. All right, fine. I've got Luffy. You run 3 dragons. He's an absolute menace. He works off of leader ability, both pitching 4 and targeting. So he's a 12k. And so you can play him on your 10 Don turn. You can swing 9 with leader, 12 with dragon. You're probably going to win any game that intentionally works for you. And then my favorite tech card, 1 5-cost Sabo.
So what's that for?
This is, in my testing, it worked really, really well against, a lot of people didn't expect it. It KOs most of the blockers in the game. Luffy, Sabo on a turn that it wasn't just played, it KOs like Boa for Dofi, and it is the most universal removal in the game. It helps a lot if I'm playing Bonnie. Bonnie can drop Cavendish. Cavendish will ruin me, except it won't.
And it's possible that a lot of players will be hesitant on even just attacking Belo Betty because of the normal build of it getting triggers, and then so the Sabo basically almost punishes them.
Exactly. This whole build punishes that. There were games where, it's my 7-8 Don turn and I'm at 4 life because my opponent doesn't want to swing at me. I'm not really trigger reliant. I do have triggers in the deck and they are beneficial. It does help me, but there's absolutely no need. I have won many games without getting a single trigger just because it's so aggressive naturally by itself. The Rev package can just do that. Dragon can do something similar, but not 9,000 additional power from your leader ability just can't be beat. Betty is the best aggro deck right now in the off-meta format, in my opinion.
So, with this being one of the last tournaments in 08, what are you thinking of for 09 then?
09.
Do you think that this still has a good shot? I know we talked a little earlier about that, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so Betty is absolutely going to get stronger in 09. She gets a card, Koala. It's a 6-drop that will...
Pricing for 128 and 256. Please come up with this time if you have not yet picked up your pricing for 128 or 256.
The 6-drop Koala will... It mitigates basically every problem this deck has. It draws cards. It establishes additional bodies. It plays Rev Army stuff, obviously, and it'll allow you to... Like, my plan is... This is out of the deck completely. This can become Kuma. You are now running 48 Rev cards. I like Luffy, just unblockable, rush. He's going to stay in the deck at a 2 of. He's just really strong. A lot of people like to run Kid and Killer very similarly because it's, it can work. But I prefer the unblockability of Luffy, and I feel like it'll win you more games than Kid and Killer.
All right.
Yeah, so that's the whole deck list profile. What I was getting into originally is like how to deal with Dofi and Lucci. That's why you have Raise Max, and that's why you have Koala to go with both Kuma and Lindbergh. So this is your package. You are controlling Dofi's board with these 4 cards because Dofi's playing things out rested. He's not getting card advantage against you as much as you would think because you're swinging into his characters. He now also does not have the characters to swing back at you. So he's basically swinging one guy a turn, being his leader, and he has to either clear my board or a chance giving me a trigger, which, like you said, many people were hesitant to do. Right.
Well, I think that's a great summary of everything. You are making a name for Belo Betty here. making a grand difference. Is there anything else you want to say to close this all off?
I'm just going to shout out my friends, Dan, Jimmy, Alex, Cameron, Brian. I play with them all the time. They're all stellar players. I want to shout out Everything Games. It's a great local community. The store's been fantastic to me, and the players who go are high quality, and they're also chill. So, like, check out Everything Games in Buffalo Groves, and check out for Barney Kong on the sim, because that's me.
All right.